just a little, just a wee bit, distracted. Hey, Spoony, thank you so much for the rain. Thank you. And what the fuck? I missed all of Fran, what is with all these routines? Fran, what is with all these routines? Anyway, Spoony, thank you so much for the opening raid. Let me get a quick shout out. There we go. Also, the Final Fantasy 14 online enjoyer. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you're excited. I hope you had a great time with brand new patch that came out today. Patch 7.5 released. We got a brand new story. We got new systems that are going to place. We're going to be playing Final Fantasy in about an hour after I take care of our magic dailies. We're going to go exchange our dies. We're going to see exactly what the official tally count is for paints and dies. And I'm going to finally get to just put all my fishing bait into my saddlebag as God intended. Oh, the new systems aren't really in yet? Just the die? That's a new system. And like, we got the armor change. We got the armor change, so the job gear can go into the armor now. And then also we've got an increase in the housing items that we can get. Like those are new systems. Or rather, I guess like not necessarily like new quotation, but like, you know, they're updates to the system. I guess is really more the spirit of what I mean. Just a lot of quality of life stuff that I've been looking forward to. Like, oh my god, being able to put the job gear into the armor chest finally is actually huge. Because I have not finished going through a few of the job quests that I have in Heaven's Ward with Amora. So now I can actually crack them open without fear and then shove them into the armor chest, secure in the fact that they're not going to eat up glamour slots. Fantastic, I love it. Anyway, if you got a raid and run, absolutely don't be afraid to do that. Thank you so much for dropping in with the community. Thank you all. Thank you. And for anyone who's new here, well, first of all, we like to open things up with a big stretch. Oh god. Oh boy. Hold out your palms, folks. Hold out your palms. Unstrip. Roll your shoulder blades back, nice and slow. Feel the crack in your spine. That's the good shit. And let's get started. Hey there, heroes! My name is Hero Girl. I'm your friendly local neighborhood hero tuber, and I'm also a professional IT. Today is April 28th, 2026, and this is the Daily Grind. This is the time of the day where we come on and we grind our dailies. It's also the time where we just come on, we chat, we just take care of stuff. You know, sometimes keeping up with a hobby means having to interface with it ways that maybe you find a little tedious stuff. So this is just kind of our hangout stream while we do the fun bits. We're also live on the YouTube on Hero Girls VT. That's my channel. We have the VODs up there every day. So if I ever put my foot in my mouth, it's gonna be up there until I need to take it down. But no one said anything yet, so hopefully we're doing okay. Sometimes things get a little salty, sometimes things get a little grumpy, sometimes things get just a wee bit out of hand, but like at the end of the day, we're all just here to have fun. Have fun and, you know, hang out and chat. Lucky, thank you so much for the 50 bitties. Thank you. Alright. So, I gotta cast red-white spells, I gotta cast red-black spells, but we definitely gotta cast red spells. Let's take a look at exactly what we're gonna be running today. I did build a new deck try out. I've got like a Berta deck here that I'm trying out. Berta caught my eyes specifically because Increment is a really cool mechanic. It's a spell-based evolve style mechanic. And then Berta's just a really nice mana sink here. I like the fact that you can just end of turn, X tap, make a big old fractal. So I've got like a rough draft here. Notably, and this was something that I didn't realize until I actually started messing around with this. Increment is based on the mana you spend, not the cost of the actual card. So if I use something like Force of Will and I use its alternative cost to play it for free, without paying any mana, that is not going to trigger Increment. I would have to actually pay 5 mana. But that does mean that something like, say, a Memory Deluge, where it's 4 mana to start and then 7 mana on the flashback, that does scale. So things I'm going to keep in track of. We're not going to be able to play this deck today for the dailies, but something that I'm messing around with, something I'm trying to work my way through. Real quick, just show me the red. I really wanted to work on quizzes, but that's not quite in the cards today. Yeah, there's Ravon. There's some softer stuff that I can take a look at some point. But I'm kind of in the mood to play some Jack Garland today. You know, Fran can get on me for all he wants, but this is still Jack Garland to me. It will remain Jack Garland to me. But also, like, why does Ultimisia have the Jack Garland horn? Answer me that, Fran. Ooh, hold on. There's a little bit of a lag going on with Arena. I'm gonna close it and reopen it real quick. It's lagging something awful. Usually what I do on days like today, like if you remember correctly, chat, Tuesday is my home cleaning day. So just so I don't have to do a whole bunch of things at once, I'll open some programs ahead of time, like OBS. I'll get the stream websites ready, and I'll get Arena ready. I don't really care that Arena has, like, you know, you've been disconnected, just reconnected, like you just reconnect. But I have to wonder if there's like, what was it? A couple of years, I think there was like a memory leak. What was the question? I don't... Oh, I remember. The question was... Why does Ultimisia have the Jack Garland horns? Why does she have the Jack Garland horns, Fran? I hope it's not my computer. I hope it's not my computer. I just cleared off like a ton of actually, hold on. Let me check my computer real quick. Currently at 110 gig free. That's good. Let me check. I mean, as always, V2 Studios currently eating up a majority of them. Huge thing. Currently eating what's about kind of how studios. As long as Arena works fine. Where did Jack? Jack, where'd you? There we go. The what? So why does Ultimisia have the Jack Garland horns? Like, you know how Jack's helmet has like those long cone horns sticking out of him? Why does Ultimisia have those too? Like, why does she look like she's doing an inspired by Jack Garland era type thing? Also, we're up against Clarb. This is Sultai. Typically ends up being a control deck. Clarb being a 2/4, you know, stop us quite a bit. Hexing Squelcher makes us that way we can't be countered. That's something. All the Profane ends up being our black source for Transmogrant. And after that, it's kind of up in the air. I guess the opposition agent has text if we hit another one. Flame Blast Bolt can hit. Nothing else. This is a little bit of a sketchy hand. I can even lead off on red rather than playing the Transmogrant here if they lead off on the Mana Dork. Oh, they're gonna go for Tri-Land off the bat. Well, oh, Command Tower. Thank God. Maybe I wasn't supposed to play the Transmogrant just yet. Maybe I was supposed to hold up Flame Vest Bolt. Ooh, Noxious Revival to get another land. That's a little greedy, isn't it? Flopside Decay, a mono art maybe? More than one horn equals evil? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I might need you to elaborate just a wee bit more Fran. Alright, we got Squelcher online. Now, what do I want to do? Am I using the Fell the Profane with the opposition agent, maybe? I would love to get the Fear of Ridicule going. They could just play Glarb. So I'm probably going Infernal Grasp. No, they're going Cabbage Merchant. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, make a food. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, sack a food token. Tap 2 untapped foods. Add 1 mana of... Okay. I'm gonna Flame Bless Bolts. Not doing a whole lot else. So let's go ahead. We'll cast Jack. Then, yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll Flame Bless Bolt now. Ragavan? Absolutely. I guess I don't get a chance to, like, lose them. Yep, there's Glarb. Glarb lets him play lands off the top of the deck. And then cast spells 4 or greater. Urborg. That's great for us. I don't think you play Urborg in most of these decks. I don't like the fact that it gives a lot of, like, additional color fixing. Am I Infernoing? I think I am. Then what do we want? Another land to play the Fell the Profane, right? Moon Shadow, not what we're looking for. We're looking for more ways to help us cast the Fell the Profane. And then... Am I fine with playing Ragavan? I think I hold off. I think I have a good enough board presence right now that I don't need Ragavan on board. Especially if they end up just, like, board wiping. One Ring is interesting. Let's see. Spells you control can't be countered. Has nothing to do with damage. I can opposition agent in response. I can destroy. We're just chilling. Yep. Someone's gonna lose a life. 100% expecting some sort of wrath to come down this turn. They need like a... Not a Blood in the Snow. They don't have any snow. Vampiric Tutor. That is a tasty, tasty treat for my opposition agent. And they can't counter it because I have a Squelcher in play. They can try and use removal. Okay. Yep. This also just, like, drastically cuts down on what they can actually, like, use as a target. So, yeah, they're going to lose 2 life. They're going to go down to 4. They can use the One Ring to draw it, but then they have 1 mana to actually use it. I don't have enough information to really know how I feel about Vampiric Tutor being in the format. Like, it is a very, very good card. It's efficient. It's instant speed. It's technically card disadvantage, but when you can just grab whatever card you need from your deck, that doesn't really matter. Like, and if they decide to draw with the One Ring, they can't eat food. So I've got 6 damage on board with Ragavan dashing in. That's going to make 8, and then the One Ring kills them unless they specifically grab, like, a Stifle or something. Yeah, not playing Ragavan out was huge. Yep, okay, so they're going to go ahead and draw it. They have... What did they have for 1 mana? Nothing. Nothing. Opposition agent ended up fucking them up. Because they ended... What'd they do? They burned through Dark Ritual and Fell the Profane. They can't do anything with whatever it is they tutored up for Vampiric Tutor. Or whatever it was that they were looking for, right? Like, they had to do that because otherwise the Vampiric Tutor is completely blanked. But also, that might have just forced the checkmate situation where they literally can't find anything. GG. Also, Fran, I'm gonna go ahead and like show you what I mean. Like, where's that ultimate I was working on? It's easier to see on the mono blue version. So like, they could be hair puffs, I guess, but they just kind of look like horns to me. I guess it wouldn't be out of the question for them to be like stylized hair. But to me, they look like Jack's horn. And like, maybe you can see the similarities. Like, even if it is like hair, they are still in that kind of shape that reminds you of Jack, right? I love this deck. I love this deck so much. This is just like a punch you in the face aggro deck, and I love it so much. Jack as just a 3/2 that surveils every time you cast stuff to help fix the top of your deck. So good. Alright, we get to go first. We've got Squelch, Sheoldred, Grief, Lily. Not bad. Is this a hand worth keeping? I can start on Squelch, so that way there's no counter magic available. I can pitch either Lily or Sheoldred to Grief, depending on what I see in the next draws. And I'm probably just going to lead off on Haunted Ridge. The Snuff Out will come online as soon as the Swamp is available. I'm going to play the Squelcher before I evolve. Or maybe I want to play the Grief first. Playing the Grief first gives me more information. I'm guaranteed to hit the Lily. And I'm going to be Hellbent pretty quickly. I think I'm willing to go ahead and Grief now, pitch the Sheoldred. Save the Snuff Out for when Aragorn comes down. And we're going to see exactly what flavor of 4-color bullshit this is. Alright, so this is 4-color. Wild Shape is pretty good and blanks most of our stuff. Big mana. Trample, Lifelink, and Haste. That's probably like big Snuff Out materials too, though. Creatures you control get 1/0 and indestructible. That protects Aragorn and is also like a pain in the butt. Wild Shape. Let's see. They play the Hajar. I can play Lily. I can minus to take care of Hajar. What if we just like take out the Dork? Let's go ahead and take out the Wild Shape. And then, because I'm not worried about counter spells, we'll just go ahead and lead up on Jack. Because then playing Lily and Snuff Out is going to give us more surveilling and card selection opportunities. Yep. And then here is yet another Swamp. Surveil for next turn. Not using the Catacombs just yet. Cossack Bronco. I'll leave that on top. That's good draw power. And I'm going to be able to double spell with Squelcher and Bronco and still play Snuff Out. Like, the 4/4 sucks. The 2 mana card sucks.
Enough with the mysteries. I've come for answers. Sacrifices must be made.
So let's just see how it shakes. Yep, there's the Fey Elder. And then, how do I feel? I think This is a 4/4. Not a lot that I have actually deal. I can go Caustic Broncos, Squelcher. Aragorn just like takes over part of the problem. But I also need to make sure that Lily is just set up to take out something next turn. They can play the Fleetfoot Dancer. The Fleetfoot Dancer kills Lily, and then I just don't have anything to deal with that deals with Lily. This is just one of the most awkward things I think I've had to navigate. We plus Lily. We discard a card. We can discard the Squelcher. I can also just like offer up the trade with Garland. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm fine with using Garland as a removal piece. Alright, so they didn't take that. So if I hold Snuff out as a removal, then that's what I'm going to have to do. This gets really bad if they decide to just go into Aragorn, I guess. Because they can go ahead, go into Aragorn. Nope, they're going to go with Fleetfoot Dancer. Oh, this thing doesn't fly. That's really relevant. Captain Everhart is also really good. Am I willing to trade Squelcher for that? I think I'll just eat it. Fear of Ridicule. That's a card that helps us out eventually. When this creature attacks, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Lose life equal to its mana value. Let's go ahead and saddle 4 mana. Naughty Voidwhacker. They can trade it with Eberhard if they want, I guess. You have 4/4. You do not give Trample. Leave back the Squelcher. Here's Fear of Ridicule. Go ahead, tick up, discard the Voidwalker. Then pass turn. Now I'm in a position where I can cash in Lily if I need to. Faeburrow Elder still only taps for 2 mana. Nope, Faeburrow is going to cap for 4. Yep, and it's a 4/4. And it has Vigilance, so now the Fear of Ridicule doesn't actually get through. Ah, okay. Yep, that's pretty good. That's 10 life. I'm gonna go ahead and shump here. I just need like 1 removal spell. That is not quite what I wanted. So then let's do it like this. Go ahead, we'll saddle Garland. And then Malakir. I can do it on the Bronco or I can do it on the Fear. I think I'm okay with doing it on the Fear. Travail. Blood Moon is a little too late. Spell the Profane, too late. Spell the Profane, too late. I think I just die on the Crackback, right? 9, 10, 11, 12. 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait, they let the Fear of Ridicule hit? They did. They let the Fear of Ridicule hit. Okay, yep, Growth Spiral's really good here. I'm also just, like, dead right now to any sort of, like, secondary pump, I think. If they have any removal for the elf token, that's... Yeah, that's GG. Well. If I had kept the Shoulder, would that have changed anything? Probably... I kept that over Lily. I'm trying to think about the sequencing on there. The sequencing in that game was kind of involved. If you have a different sequencing that you might have thought of, you know, leave a comment on the YouTube VOD actually. Any moment. Oh, okay. Just doing more One Piece posting. Yo, we got Demonic Tutor prepared card. Beginning of your end step, if 2 more creatures died this turn, this creature becomes prepared. Yo, this is one of the cool ones. This is one of the really cool ones. I think this one could actually even go into Vanilla thing. That seems like the kind of deck that I could put this in. I don't think this is part of the Jack deck. Let's see. Definitely lead on Jack. Lily was a good turn 3 play. Card removal is kind of rough. Hefka Court Mage. This will be an one. I think my matchup against a control deck like Hefka is a little bit better here. I tend to go Hellbent pretty fast, so I'm susceptible to like the removal, but I'm also forcing through a lot of counterspell stuff. I can go turn 2 Sholdred, and that's pretty good. I don't have any Thought Seizes. I'm willing to try it. I think that Leyline of the Void, really? I think Shoulder just like it more often than not. So this is not going to be the turn to run her out. I could go with Garland. Let's go with Caustic Bronco. Bronco resolves. Okay, you'll love to see that. Virtue Persistence. Yep, that's fine. Mox Amber. I could go Jack. Reflecting Pool doesn't tap for blue. Yeah, I think I'm willing to do this. Let's go Blood Crypt. Play Jack. Play Mox Amber for that value. Dragon Rage Channeler. I want another threat. Yeah, we'll leave that on top. And you leave Dragon Rage Channeler on top. Oh, right. That's right. Dragon Rage Channeler never turns on because of Leyline of the Void. Fuck. Forgot about that. Well, fuck me, I guess. Toxic Deluge is a very real answer. Not the one I was thinking of, but sure. But they missed a land drop, right? It looks like they did. Confounding Conundrum, that's a redraw. I don't know why they have this in there. I feel like you have better niche tools. Like a Blood Moon would be really good. Oh, they just packed in all the graveyard hate, didn't they? Okay. I've got Fatal Push, Withering, Shoulder Deeded. Only one of these actually does anything against Kefka, though. I'll probably drop the Withering first. Energy attacks, then you draw cards. So they can just like play Kefka here and they're gonna get a redraw. Attack a non-token creature. I'm gonna get 2 Surveil triggers. I don't want another land. Mind Collapse. I'll hold on to that because that also deals with Kefka. I do drop. So, yep, it's just a straight up draw too for them. And at this point, like, we don't really have a lot of agency. If they have another Wrath effect, it is what it is. Target opponent discards a card whenever one or more players discard one or more cards. Investigate. So this is going to be... Actually, hold on. Tap this for me, please. And then I don't care about losing the Fatal Push because I just literally... Exile the graveyard. Destroy their artifact. The Wonder is a little bit of a problem, but not really. Mountain, nope. Essence Flux. Well, how do you like that? I don't think any... Whenever an opponent discards one or more cards. I'm just going to cast this Fatal Push for more Surveil triggers. And it also keeps them from investigating. Dorothy Voidwalker. I actually kind of want that on top. And then... I could play the Voidwalker, and then the Hostile Investigator becomes a card I care about. They probably eat the Dragon Rage Channeler, but then I deal an extra 3. Alright. So, I'm currently Hellbent. But I got an extra 3 points out of it. So currently I have a 3-turn clock. Whenever an opponent sacks a non-token permanent. Hey, that's pretty cool. Go to combat. All. I'm going to make them choose blockers because Broadside has Menace, which means it has to take both of the blockers. And if that happens, then I just shoot the Mox Amber at their face, and then that's Xaxes. But if they block Garland, then I throw Garland at their face. They can't block Voidwalker at all. I love this deck, chat. I love this deck. Okay, so yeah, they're going to go ahead. They're going to double side. They throw it at their face. We're going to throw this Mox Amber. And then... Yeah. Xaxes. That's a GG. Okay, so like I want to talk again about some of the cards that they have here. So there is a non-synergy here between Turgid and also this Leyline of the Void. Leyline of the Void is a decent card. It's a pretty good card. Like if you're really worried about graveyard hate, this is a great sideboard card in 60 card formats, right? But it's a combo with Turgid. Because Turgid wants stuff to actually go to the graveyard. So that way they can get them back, but because it's going into exile, they don't get anything. There was a second there where I was afraid that, oh my god, right. They get the Mox Amber. So then that gives them 1 black mana. Which means that if they have like a Fatal Push or anything, they can kill the Voidwalkers and then like my chance to get lethal is actually gone. But no, it doesn't actually work that way because the Amber is now exiled forever because of the Leyline of the Void. You have good, strong graveyard options, especially in Grixis, that are targeted. And you can just use those if you're that worried that Kefka's ability is actually going to enable Reanimate, right? Because I understand that 100%. You get matched up against something like a Slimefoot and Squee, and you realize that most of what you want to build your deck around actually ends up hurting you because it enables them. But you don't want to rely on something like a Leyline of the Void if you're going to rely on thief effects like Turgid or just any sort of a thing. Or at the very least, you probably end up taking Turgid out. If you're counting on being able to use the effect, I can see playing the Lantern side of this with Lane 9 out, because then they just get exiled. Like, I see the logic, I see the vision, but I think you need to be a little more curative with what you're using for that. And then there's just like Confounding Conundrum. I really don't like this card. It's moderately better than it used to be because we have fetch lands in Brawl now, right? So if you play a fetch land and you crack it in the same turn, then the land that you get bounces back to your hand. It's a cantrip, so the bare minimum is that it replaces itself. But I just feel like you could get so much more utility out of a different card. I've tried playing this card before. It never does what I actually want it to do. Never. Just actual factual never. We ended up going through quite a bit of a deck. But also, I think this is also a good game just for illustrating why I love this deck so much. The fact that Jack Garland surveils every time you cast a kill spell means that even if you're not like able to reload your hand with a draw spell because you haven't found one yet, you are actively digging through your deck for exactly what you need. So you can dig through dead lands. If you find something you want to leave on top, you just leave it on top. And then you don't really ever worry about the transform mode. I think I would only really consider that if it was super late game and I'd already just recast Jack from the command zone a couple times already. Like, there comes a point where replaying Jack is more expensive than just using Chaos's backside. But at that point, I think the game has already gone way longer than it should have, and you and your opponent are both in desperate top deck mode to begin with. No, yeah, this is just like, this is absolutely the style of aggro deck that I like playing. There's a lot of intricate decisions to make. It's a lot more engaged than just 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, keep swinging and stuff like that. It's a lot more, which is a playstyle that's a lot more prominent in 60 card Magic than it is in Singleton. Well, Singleton, if you have a deck full of 1 drops, they got to be some really damn good 1 drops, and you need an absolute shit ton of them to help guarantee getting them early on. Speaking of 1 drops, we're up against Ugin Eye of the Storms. It's going to be like Ketramos. We want to beat this deck down like as fast as humanly possible. This hand would be great if I could swap out like any 1 card for just a land. If I could just hit 2 lands, it's great. Rakdos Charm could blow up one of their artifacts. Not really worried about any of their mana dorks, so I'd probably swap out the Bloodchief's Thirst. But that's not happening. I've got 2 here. I've got Boggart Trawler and Caverner Souls, which does not help me cast the Fear of Ridicule. I've got a Grief here. Sholdred, I think, is probably going to be too slow. And the creature removal just is not going to be as relevant. I'm going to throw this back and go down to 6. This might be a little better. I'll keep the 6. I'll put back the Fatal Push. And opponent has gone down to 5. And they're going to play an Expedition map. Okay. That has me saying, let's Thoughtseize it. And take the card that they might have kept this on for. Mystic Forge is a really good one. Firemind Vessel is going to take a little while to get going. Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll take the Forge. And then I'm going to drop Jack immediately. Guardian Idol so they can drop Firemind on the next turn. Yep, so they can go ahead. They're at 6 mana already. Okay, goddamn. I thought the Mystic Forge was going to be the problem, but nope. Alright. Painful Bond, that's a reload. But that's not what we need. I can destroy Ugin next turn. Infernal Grasp, also not what we need. Let's see if we get there, because any Yep. Oh, that happened. I don't know what to say. I was worried about the Mystic Forge, and then the Fire Mine came down. So, like, I can go ahead and destroy Ugin, but I think the game might just be lost because I took the wrong target. I was like, oh yeah, take the Mystic Forge. I think it's one of two different things, right? I think if we take the Mystic Forge, then we're losing almost immediately to Ugin. But if we don't but if we take the rock instead, we're losing eventually to the Forge. And I'll go ahead and pick it up. A combination of being on the draw and them having a turn 2 rock off the top. Because they had to hit that rock off the top, right? If they didn't have the turn 2 rock off the top, then we have more turns to find and dig for our artifact hate, which is kind of what I was counting on. But they did hit the rock off the top, and so the 4 rock came down a lot faster than I was expecting. That being said, it might just be better to grab the 4 rock in the future, so that way we can play around them top decking a 2-cost rock, because they are literally playing all of the rocks. And that's kind of the power of Ugin, is that you get to play a really powerful piece of removal and stabilizer that is also a draw engine, and then you also just get to play all of the mana rocks, because playing more mana rocks triggers him more. Speak of the fucking devil. At least Ugin takes a little bit of time to set up compared to some of these other guys. Edict is a good card. Spectral Destruction's not really going to do a whole lot. I am going to go turn 1 Goyf, I think. And we're going to try and jam Jack and Voidwalker as quickly as possible. This Goyf might be an 0-1 right now, but as soon as we crack this fetch land, it'll start poking in. Color spells you cast with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. We don't have to worry about that right this second, fortunately. I could go nowhere to run and then kill it. I think it's much more important to start using Jack to dig. I'm not going to miss that 1 point of damage, probably. But I am absolutely going to drop nowhere to run on the next turn. Motherfucker. Alright. 2 mana. I would love to drop Spectacle Destructions, so let's do that now. Broadside's still up there. Spectacle is going to start drawing us. Maybe that was actually wrong. Maybe I was supposed to go, like, double. There's no way they block here. Oh, hey, it's the One Ring. I mean, they probably should attack with a Merp because they're not planning on, like, not attacking with it, right? Alright, so we get a Dark Writ. That's pretty nice to have. What do I want to do? I want to drop Voidwalker and Nowhere to Run. I don't need to use the Dark Writ. Yeah, let's go ahead and drop the Voidwalker Neff. That way the Paladiner goes into exile. Oh, yep, and then they do get the draw with the One Ring. Of course, of course, of course. Thoughtseize is fantastic. I would love to see a Thoughtseize next. Then I don't have Spider Punk, so the damage cannot be dealt. Hopefully, this is just fast enough. But they can go ahead. There's a Maze Mind Tome. That's not a Mana Rock. Alright, they're going to draw a card. That's not a Mana Rock. They're drawing with the One Ring. That's not a Mana Rock. Alright, first things first. We are Thought Seizing. This might end up being lethal. Ooh. Okay. When you cast a spell, exile target permanent that's one or more colors. I think it's the Wormcoil Engine. Easy. And then also, let's go Broadside Bomb into Ears. Next, go Combat. And then, am I throwing? I might throw here. And then I'll sacrifice the Goyf. I'll sacrifice the Goyf. Because now they're down to 4. They've only got 5 mana, so they can't even, like, cast this thing to save them. Alright, and we got there. We got there in part because the only piece of ramp that we saw was the Palladium Myrrh. And the opponent just kind of drew dead for the rest of their hand. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens. But it feels like there's at least... I know a lot of people hate Ugin. That's partly because he chews up mid-range decks alive. But if you're playing an aggro deck and you can build a super wide board presence against him, he has a much harder time stabilizing. He doesn't have all the tools and board wipes that you would normally need in order to reset an aggro deck and buy yourself time. The One Ring absolutely helps with fogging for a turn. But unless they get like a crazy fast start like what we saw in the last game, they kind of just roll over. I don't know. I guess my opinion on commanders softens as soon as I realize what their weak point is. Well, with it. What the frick? It's like once you understand the weak point of a deck and you're willing to, you know, mulligan to try and find the hand that gets you there, it becomes a lot easier to grok the matchup. And I feel a little less upset when things don't work out. This is a fine hand against Chandra, so speaking. I'm going to take a called shot, just a wild guess. And I'm going to guess that this is a Stone Rain deck. Especially since we have actual factual Stone Rain in the format now. Or I guess we have had it, but like we have a couple more effects. They love to make this a Stone Rain deck. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep this. And we're going to go Moon Shadow into my... And then hope that Garland can get us there. Ultimate Impact. If excess damage was dealt this way, you get a one-time boon. When you cast an instant sorcery, this boon deals damage equal to the noted number to target creature or planeswalker an opponent control. Well, let's see. I was the starting player? No, Chimera was they were the starting player. So Cinecode Smite is a treasure. All right, so there's Seize the Spoils. I get shot. They have Rafts. Yep, they sure got Rafts. And this is kind of what's going to set us back. When you can play a deck that runs a lot of Rafts and Sweepers, that's when you really start to have issues keeping up as a control deck. Like, I'll use this Spell the Profane to play Shoulder if I need to. I'm also just going to use this Cinder Cone Smite. Let's see, that's 4, 5. Chandra next turn. Chandra next turn. Like, do I need another land? I would like another red land. Minus X. X damage to each of the 2 target creatures. That would end up getting to each Shouldered in full. I guess the Fury can, like, come down if I pitch the Croxa. It's definitely not impossible for red to deal with 5 toughness creatures. I know that firsthand from playing Colossus. The Shouldered is not going to die to, like, any of the smaller sweepers, though. It has to be something like an Hour of Devastation. Scorching Dragonfire. Yep, they're going to 2-for-1 themselves in order to deal with Shouldered. Notably, they're going to resolve the Volcanic Spike before Shouldered resolves, or before Shouldered dies from state-based actions, so Shouldered's trigger should still see if they decide to cycle. Yep. So yeah, Shouldered gets exiled. They take an extra 2 points of damage. So 2 premium removal spells plus a bit of extra damage. I'll take that trade. Caustic Bronco. Let's go play Croxa. Each opponent discards a card, and everyone who discards a land, just 3 life. Here's the Caustic Bronco. I need another red to actually be able to replay Croxa. Oh, hey! Chandra! Hey, girl. What's up? Now she can -2, kill both Garland and the Bronco. That sucks. But if I top deck like a red source, I don't have to use this Bitter Triumph. Do I want to... But, like, there is a trick that I can do here. I'm going to try and take my gamble on it. I can use Garland as food for Croxa. Okay, yep, they're going to go ahead, eat a treasure. Play another red. Aggressive Symbiosis is not what I want. So we're just going to go ahead and discard a card, drop this, and then... We can cast this card from the graveyard by discarding a card. 4, 5, 6. Sandra's at 8. They get to draw another card, and then they make a pilot that can crew this into a 4/4. So that's going to be a beating. Reckless Handing to search for an artifact. They grab key to the archive, and then they lose key to the archive. Okay. Dismember. I think I'd rather just take out the Bank Buster. Yep. This is bad. I'm bottoming out a little bit. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They can recast Chandra now. And then Chandra can plus and go up to 7. You hate to see that. You absolutely hate seeing that. Like, we have a lot of tools.
This war ends today.
But... Okay, so they're actually more just like mono red control then. And then we're just going to go ahead and dismember the vehicle. Stealthy Voidwalker. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. I am not drawing any red sources to replay Croxa and free Garland. And also they have Chandra established. So any removal that they have is just going to be like instant value forever. We got time to try and like jam one more. Honestly, it's the fact that they got Chandra going that really did it. It's really hard to build an aggro presence against a deck that just has her online. And if we're in a really bad spot, because like they can also still be running all those stone rains and then they just hit our red source and lock us out of black, or lock us out of red. We're up against Sephiroth. Nether Goyf to start. Nowhere to run. Opposition agent. Nowhere to run is a little awkward. Actually, no. Nowhere to run is perfectly good, but like no red sources. Oh, we're running the Urborg. Fortunately, it doesn't really matter too much here, but that is something to keep in mind. Yep, there's Infestation Sage. I am going to fetch around Opposition Agent. We're going to go ahead and just grab... Actually, do I grab... No. There's no Blood Moon. What am I thinking? Grab Mountain. Put combat attack in. Alright, here's Jack. I've got a broadside potentially coming up as well as a Liliana. Oh, Jadar. That's no good. Okay, so if I play broadside, I don't actually want to shoot anything. I attack with a knight. It can get double blocked, but then I'm trading with Jadar. If I attack with Garland, I'm trading with Jadar. Let's go combat attack with everything. Like if they double block the knight, I always have the option to double block the knight. And now we have a position where I really want to make sure that Sephiroth doesn't get dealt with. I might have to let Jadar live for a turn just to do that. I could play Lily. No. We're already in a position where where Knight's going to be growing. They can go ahead. They can Sephiroth. I'll kill Sephiroth. But I was going to say, there's no real reason for them to do that, right? Destroy target creature. We'll just go 3 damage. Kill Sephiroth now. Forsaken Miner. That's a free card. Yep, and they did go ahead. They sack. They should have attacked with... No, wait, no, that zombie has decay. Right. Okay, yep. Go ahead. They get a new zombie. That's fine. Everyone loves that. I can attack with the broadside now. If I attack with the broadside, I'm not leaving anything up. But then I also don't have to worry about Lily. Yeah, I think I'm fine. No, I'm not throwing anything with broadside yet. This gets awkward if they drop like a Grave Pact, because then I'm losing a creature each turn. Okay, yeah, broadside eats the Inferno Grafts, that's fine. We're in a race right now, and this is a race that I'm probably gonna win. Fear of Ridicule. I don't mind dropping Fear of Ridicule here. Like, this Knight of the Ebon Legion is actually just huge. So what are we pub stopping folks with today? Yes, it is in fact Jack Garland. Sadly didn't make the cut with the Sir Gwyn list. Sag. Absolutely Sag. I think I'm just dropping... Jack is such a great one-on-one card. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of Jadar. I unfortunately do not get to commit Magus of the Moon. If I attack with fear, then they get to lose to Knight of the Ebon Legion. True, they do get to lose to Knight of the Ebon. Only have the 3 cards anyway. Like, they have to block the Knight of the Ebon Legion, or I just literally pump and they lose. Alright, now they get a token. Now I get a thing. Ooh, I get shouldered the whispery one? Hot damn!
Happy to help. Drop it.
Guys, I cannot understate how much I love this fucking little crab monster. I love him so much. It's a 3 mana 2/3 that says enchantment creatures you control have menace. Whenever one or more enchantment creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, exile a random creature from that player's library. Create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 1/1 enchantment creature. Which means I just hit the jackpot, baby. I love this little guy. Because, like, no, people either, like, they are terrified of this thing or they don't respect it. There's no in between. Like, blocking the Knight of the Ebon Legion there, that was absolutely the correct the correct play. I would just pump it up and they would lose. That's good stuff. I was 1 red spell short of clearing out that daily. Show me Mr. Jack Garland. So we can get a couple of spots out before we swap on over. I love this deck. This deck is so much fun. When I build an aggro list, this is what I want my aggro list to look like. I want there to be a lot of good filtering. I want a lot of good agency options. The fact that Garland is a 3/2 for 2 means that he's already like an aggressive body. Yes, he dies to shock. Okay, yeah, sure. However, we do get to play all of the Thoughtseize options. So hopefully that we see one of those turn 1, and then we can clear the way for him to resolve safely. He turns every kill spell, every single kill spell, into a card flow option, right? Every time that we cast a Thundercone Smite or a Flame Blessed Bolt, or even just like a Silent Blood, he is letting us dig through our deck and determining our own fate, which is actually kind of really thematic with how Jack plays in Stranger in Paradise. Quote from Breffin: forget the exact reasons, whether I needed more power in a different way or just that Black Red was an awkward fit for the man base, especially early. I can see that. I can see that. Like, I don't think Jack is a card that you really just like throw into most decks. I'm trying him out as a commander because I think there's something you can probably do some cool aggro stuff, some cool aggro graveyard stuff in multiplayer with him. But this guy absolutely shines in one-on-one. Oh no, your 2-drop commander dies to shock. Oh, the horror. Let me just replay him. Exactly. And you do just kind of get to play the best hits. Like, you get to play Rakdos Charm. You get to play the original K command. You get to play your Blood Moon effects. You get to play cards that cycle away your Blood Moon effects if that's not what you need. Surveilling them away also works. You get to play some cool Delirium effects. You just get to play cool alchemy cards like Spectacle of Destruction. It is a beautiful, beautiful deck. And I've had a couple of opportunities where maybe I could have gotten the Forsaken Miner going, but that's neither. Corey Steelcutter was in this deck. I think Corey Steelcutter was a really good card, but they nerfed it for alchemy. It no longer gives a power and toughness bonus, and this deck isn't really the type of deck that can just Xerox spells and chain them together either. So, not really a card that that we're probably playing anyway. But no, this is just it's just a fun deck. And then we get to play with all the Dark Confidant variants. And basically, it's just my attempt. This is basically just, if I was playing Black-Red aggro in Legacy, it probably looks something a little bit like this. Although, did I put in the... I did not put in the Obsessive Pursuit. Obsessive Pursuit is a card that I've been thinking about running in here. I think it would go a long way, especially if we can get like the lifelink going. Garland was a knight in a Mardu equipment deck, so it was cool to play Garland and play an equipment and get the surveil. Good to see him being lackluster late draw. I think that's really the crux. I think with a Sir Gwyn deck, you really need more utility out of your cards than them just being like knights with occasional surveil. Like, I love this guy, don't get me wrong, but he is not like he is more of a spells based commander than just than he is an equipment holder. Although maybe I would consider playing like lightning armor in the deck. That's actually something to think about. I might actually want to put lightning armor in this deck. Lightning armor is another alchemy card, and it's so sweet. Nope, I already have one. Thank you. Stormforged armor. There we go. Its equip cost is pay 3 life, but the equipped creature has, whenever this creature attacks, conjure a card named Ball Lightning onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. To conjure means that you literally just make a card out of thin air and put it into the game. And then it goes to your graveyard when it dies, so like it's an actual card, which means you can pay for Crux's attack cost. I love this card. This is a really cool. Anyway, that's going to do it for the magic portion of the stream. Now we got to go turn in our die. Stoneforge armor is... Alright, yeah. And now we've reached the chill portion of this. Let's see. I built the Birda deck to try out. Maybe I should try my hand at the next Conjure. The dragons are all really cool. Conjure and Prismari feel like they could very easily go into turns. I like taking extra turns. I don't know that I like building extra turns decks. There seem to be quite a few people logging in today, which is understandable considering that today is the big patch drop. Oh, God. Stretch it out, folks. Stretch out. Stretch out. I want to find more aggro decks that I like to build, like Jack. Feather, weirdly enough, does not feel like an aggro deck, even though she ostensibly is. Alright, we're here. We're clear. Get used to it. Yep, alright, we're here. Let's go get our Wondrous Tales before we do, like, literally anything else so I can remember. Do not forget. Alright. Tails. What do we have on this? Got the line. Buzzing with a new friend list on the matter of extra turns. Baited savor the moment. Flavorful. I remember you posting that, and I took a look. And like I'm gonna say this, understanding that this is the logical conclusion for a deck like Ren. But my brain just like went a completely different direction with Ren. Because I remember you posting and being like, you tried to avoid just like, Ren all kill spells. And like, that makes perfect sense. Given that Ren makes rats based on creatures that died at the end of your turn. But I saw that and I was like, oh, right. This is a relentless rats commander. Not like actual factual relentless rats, but like the 2-mana relentless rats. Because in my mind, it's like, oh, right. The way that you beat these rats decks is by blocking early and aggressively, which means that you're trading creatures. Except once Friend comes down, that no longer works because now, not only did you get rid of a creature, you just got a rat with more toughness. And that's kind of where I ended up building that deck, and I had fun with that for a little bit. Also, like, that is... Let's see, what... You augmented the Garo chest, gloves, and pants with the false marking mask and the instead of Greaves from Endwalker. Not bad. I don't mind that. A lot of familiar pieces and then just like a couple handful of changes. I don't mind. Alright, so we have to go to the Calamity Salvager, right? Right. I honestly don't remember if there's one in Verdania, so I guess we'll go to the one in Old. Wait, shit, no! Right. Before I even do that, I actually have a ton of stuff I need to turn in, so that was minorly wasted money. Okay. Where were we? Hold on. That? Okay, no, that's just someone cosplaying Sinatric. Maybe. Possibly. Who knows? Anyway. Hello, hello! Sam! How's life going? We just logged in. I am turning in all of our dungeon drops from last time. I want to hold on to diabolic stuff. We're just gonna like get through this real quick, and then I'm gonna put the Alexander stuff safe and snug into my chest. Oh my god, and then I have to like move everything over from my glamour chest over to the arm wall. Okay, yep. Okay, hold on to those. Nothing. Also double check just to make sure that they are 100%. 100%. Unless they're scouting, so like, you know, they're not. Quote from Breffin. Not even sure I have other rats in Vren at this point. That was never a goal. But you are right. When I have 2 to 4 rats, I just start pressuring people and trying to hold up a totem armor type effect. Yeah, yeah. Where's my... Okay, no. I had the ones that are part of gears. Don't need that kind of energy. And just put everything else. Even if it takes up like pointless space, but we're gonna clean that out later. Glamour prisms are cheap. There's gonna be a... Okay. Double check. Take a quick stop to the retainer, drop off all this extra stuff, and then we're good just to go to the Calamity Salvager, which if I'm gonna do that, I might as well do that in all. See, okay, so like the concept for what I had for Ren, the whole Relentless Rats thing, I liked it and it played well. Unfortunately, that didn't really translate to a very intricate game. I think that kind of comes down to when I think that kind of comes down to part of what pains me a little bit about some of the commanders that we get matched up against when they just like whenever it's not just the commanders, but like any sort of like huge haymakers. And this is I'm saying this with the knowledge that this is something that I myself am trying to work on. I'm not trying to make this like anyone else's problems. I'm just trying to like express an idea here. When someone wins with a with a haymaker that just closes out the game like a critter hoof. I think part of why that chased at me just a little bit is that I am still trying to chase and capture a more intricate style of gameplay. Like, congratulations, we had a close game, but also now the game is just over out of nowhere when like I was really trying to, you know, do this repartee dueling forth, and it just went full on monkey command grab me and end the game out of nowhere. And that's not like the card design fault. That's not like the balancing fault. That's literally not even my opponent's fault. That is just a me thing. And at the same time, and Fanes of the Viper on the... Oh, hold on. Oh, right, that's the monk. I just need to... Like, you do gotta be prepared for decks to just have, like, haymakers out of nowhere, and they get it, they get it. Nothing else you can do. This is the game that we choose to play. Oh, did I already put it? Yeah. Like, my biggest complaint seeing a friend when they had new shaman deck. The deck did basically nothing shamany and then Crater Hoof. Want to see your deck doing shamany things? I didn't see anything. See, like, yeah, that's kind of like the vibe. And then you say it out loud and you're like, actually, no. That's a very, very silly take to have. You built your deck the way that you like it. I feel like that one skit from Loading Ready Run from Friday nights where Missy is showing Kathleen her vampire deck, and then she has a random Phyrexian Obliterator in it. And Kathleen's like, you can't run Phyrexian Obliterator in a vampire deck. And then Missy is just like, no, it's okay. They sacrifice the creatures. And I have to remind myself that this is not high-minded scientific academia where there are strictly right and wrong options here. Except, like, you know, sometimes, you know, even if there's, like, generally good advice, there is not a strict hierarchy of you are ruining my fun because you are not doing something, quote, correctly, right? And that's kind of the line that I'm trying to draw between, you know, me saying stop running rafts in your creature deck in Brawl compared to just, like, being salty that, like, oh yeah, you're just playing a good commander. Yeah. You're just playing a good commander. I'm actually trying to win with a harder to win commander. Yeah, actually, look at me. I get people getting a deck and not doing the intended thing the game designers were wanting for you to do. Well, see, that's the thing, though, right? That's the thing, though. Like, the intention might have been like, oh, you know, we made an elf that synergizes really nicely with mana dorks and stuff like that, and then you turn it into a beep vehicles deck. Like, it's not even a you're not using this card the way that it's intended. It's a I'm basically trying to play limited and constructed is how I keep coming back to it, right? Like, any given limited environment, it's going to be you trade card for card in a sort of back and forth chess match, and then, like, one of you comes out on top, and sure, sometimes someone has a bomb, but, like, you know, at that point you know that's literally luck as opposed to, like, a deck constructing choice. And I keep trying to recreate that feeling in constructed formats, like, not even just Brawl, just like in tournament constructed formats, and that is not how that works, like, at all. We get to only the cards archetype for a specific deck, then we'll end up with Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me. See, that's where you can only use evil cards in an evil deck and hero cards in a hero deck. No neutral cards at all. No generics. It's kind of sad. They had that, though. They've had that in a couple of games. Like, a lot of the Bushy Road games, like Buddy Fight and Card Fight Vanguard, those games trait lock their decks so that way the actual brewing and mixing is restricted. And while that made it significantly easier to grok the matchup and to plan for it, it also made deck building feel a lot less fulfilling. And I keep having to remind myself that deck building and game playing are basically two different things in Magic, right? They are two completely different things. And while you might be satisfied that a deck looks very artisan, looks very fun to play, it's very beautiful, it's very thematic, all those things, that doesn't mean jack shit when you actually get to the gameplay and you're like, oh, right. Just because I built the deck this way doesn't mean it can actually hold up to the scrutiny of competitive play. And that's where the biggest disconnect comes from me. And I am just going to have to constantly remind myself that is the case, right? That's part of why I made the whole arena's not rigged video. Apparently not enough to convince people for logic. Like, in one-on-one formats, you do not get to just decide what the game is going to be. There's no social con. Go ahead and change all them done. Do I need to like put the Terror Breath in too? Higher goal to use cards not as intended. Also squeeze for limited style constructed. Depending on which squeeze you're talking about, there's like a couple of different squeezes that are just like WoWy cube combo things. Also, like, that is part of the onus for me to finally start developing cube. I stayed up a little bit too late last night, taking a look through cards and stuff. Because at least with cube, it's more of a personal project than anything else. It's not like I have a group of friends that like, man, I am so excited to play cube with all these guys. Like, that's just not gonna happen. Have to but like with a cube, I can put on the game designer hat, and I know exactly which piece everyone is going to be playing with. There are not going to be any pieces that I inherently think, actually, you know what? No, we don't need to play with stuff like that. I can balance it so that way my pet cards are perfectly playable, and maybe not just playable, but like, legitimately game-winning bombs. Making a deck should be like programming code. I have no idea how to do any of those, but I've seen people do some magical things with it. It's beautiful. The fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is built in a way that vanilla monsters can become meta just because of the full or type of element. Fun. Agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I was playing during the Tengu Plant format era. Like, not the format, but like the actual factual era when that was current. One of my favorite things to do was to use Instant Fusion as a way to loop Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. The one that can exile, banish a card from field, graveyard, and at random from the opponent's hand. And then use desynchro, bring back all the positive materials, then resynchro to do it again. Part of that was just literally using Instant Fusion, grab a vanilla 4 or 5-star fusion monster from the deck. Because then I could go like Junk Synchron, reanimate DD Crow. It was great. I loved it. Alright, chat. Let's see just exactly how many. Retrieve obsolete belts, purchase job specific gear, quest rewards, gender specific gear, ceremony, deal and spoils, Garo gear, prism collection, die exchange. So I'm gonna get 604 pots of standard spectrum die and 16 pots of wide spectrum die number 1. Let's take a screenshot real quick. I was not huge on collecting the dies, not because I didn't have any interest but kind of just because Samara has a very limited color palette. I only really needed like a lot of like one die in particular, and then I got all that done. There we go. Wow, would you look at that? Okay, so the general purpose metallic dies, those are the same. I now have 600 to 4 standard spectrum dies, wide spectrum dies, then the metallic purpose. Just so. Life is good again. Life is good again. My sword win list has 4 knights, 5 for Dark Knight's Greatsword. Dark Knight's Greatsword is a card for that. I love using Dark Knight's Greatsword to help combo with Gwen to actually like make it so any from the Squee as in the high-pitched happy sound. Oh, right. Squee for limited style constructed, yeah. Although you will squee entirely. Squee for squee. There. The knights are Denitha, White Orchid, Freya, and the Little Falmir Knight. Even the Murderous Rider didn't survive edits. There's a lot of good vampire knights though, right? Like, Vana. Vana's literally just a Vindicate on a stick. There's the, I really like the vampire that makes the blood tokens. I can't remember which one that one's called, but that one's currently a Commander exclusive, so that one's not in the format. There's a third category, but you don't have them. It's the ones you get in the Moon Exploration. Ah, right. I knew about that, and that's going to be, like, forever to get to. The icon is a bucket with blue paint. Audric Blood Curse should be a knight. Gosh darn it. Disagree. Audric has always been a soldier. He will not stop being a soldier. I think he should, but at the bare minimum, I think he should have been a little bit more playable. Like, I'm not even talking about, like, actually good as a commander. I just think he should have had, like, 1 or 2 keywords. That way he was making a couple of blood tokens when he comes into play on his own, you know? Like, just give him first strike. Just give him first strike so that way he is a bit more playable. I tried building that, by the way. I tried building Audric the Blood Cursed in Brawl, and that was an experiment, but I think Kennen just works a lot better. I mean, not that that's a particularly high bar. Alright, so we have our dies exchange. Was there anything else that we really want to, like, take care of immediately? I don't think there... Got a trip. Oh, right. Did I use up all my long term? Go... Change them. That Now, there's Sleepy Ganondorf. Then we're gonna cash in all of our remaining tomestones. We're not gonna get any more tomestones, so I've only got like the 21. I can get for like 21. I can get some furniture, sweet fish cures, so bummer shelf. I can get magic bucket mint. Oh yeah, I can get some glam pieces. Hold on. Did I actually like ever check out these? I don't think I think I did, but I don't remember being particularly impressed by them. Like, if you're actually in Shadowbringers, then you don't really have to worry about grabbing any of these, because you can get some pretty good gear anyways. You want the Crypt Lurker stuff, and the Crypt Lurker stuff is pretty good. Oh, that's right. I remember looking at this because this is part of what Zarya has, Nyx's character. But also, like, none of these are dyeable. And there's some okay stuff there. We've got some writing maps that I already have. Got barding, scroll, a card. I'll just grab these real quick. Then I guess we'll just get some more magic prisms. I have so many of these fucking magic prisms. Audric is in the Gwyn list because you already tried to do Path of Metal shenanigans. Why? And then Arterial Alchemy is great enchantment, especially for 4-player. Turn your bloods into blood axes for 2-0 and spots. Do a blood for each opponent. That's true. That's true. I think that card is fucking sick. I think that card is like sweet AF. Like actual factual for. Get the mod pieces for stats. Having decent stats way before even starting expansion was nice. Agree. Absolutely. But now you actually just like get to go to the expansion where you can get that gear. I, a lowly Heavensward player, am gonna be a while, and I'm just using the newest Guardian gear for clan more than stats. Real quick. Okay, it is not a bad week. Wondrous tip. As the Knights at Nistrad, Audric's a Cathar. They're essentially Knights by a different name. Not really, no. No, actually. Because, like, if you know the Cathars, they are not a Knight force. They are a soldier force, right? Like, the idea is that Knights are more of, like, an individualistic figure. Whereas with a soldier, you're kind of banding together in a group. And while, yes, of course, wait, hold on. Is that a... But with the Cathars and the soldiers, it's very explicitly no, these are not people of high-minded Cathar. Knights Templar to me? Well, it doesn't matter if it's Knights Templar to you. That's not what they are. Like, literally and just straight up. They might have, like, you know, a, quote, oath to Avacyn in the Avacyn Church. There's a story about that with Arlen, back when she was in training to be part of the Golden Order or anything like that. But they're ostensibly not knights. Like, ignore for the fact that part of what Magic defines as a knight is that knights typically do mounted combat, right? And then, yes, I know Eldraine came out, and Eldraine has a lot of unmounted knights, whatever. This is not Eldraine, this is Innistrad. Cathars would be right at home in Benalia? No, they wouldn't be. No, they ostensibly wouldn't be, right? Because Cathars are fighting for survival. These are like monster hunters. This is like your Bloodborne stuff. This is your, you know, this is your cloaks and leather and swords and whatnot. When you talk about knights, you are actually you're not talking about like the actual social class of knighthood. You are talking about like the aesthetic of knighthood, which is, you know, armor and lances. There is a lot of mounted combat that comes with that. There are like some knights on Innistrad, and again, those are typically associated with being on mounted combat. Like if you look at the humble peasant, the one that transforms when you have Coven, like she does transform into a knight, but it's also partly because she is mounted. She is on a horse. Like, yeah, there are knights in Cathardom, but not all Cathars are knights. You know, it's a thumbs and fingers situation. So you're trying to say that every finger is a thumb, and that is insanity. That is actual factual insanity. Like, it's been a while since I've looked at Magic lore, but I can guarantee you that Innistrad was like one of the areas that I was just particularly autistic about. You know, in part because, you know, one of my first real big Blorbos was in fact Innistrad Cathar. Honestly, Innistrad Cathars have more in common with, you know, like the Boros Legion than they do with, you know, just like the random knights of, say, the Orc. They are given Avacyn. The augmented Shire armor you can get the moment you enter Ideal Shire, but the Skaven needs you to finish 7.0. According to the wiki, Crypt Lurker armor only requires you to reach Eomar, what that is. Yes and no. Yes and no. So Yomor is an area that you are going to be able to access relatively early on, give or take a few. But the vendors will not sell you the Crypt Lurker armor until until I think after you finish the quest Shadowbringers, which is the capstone quest for the expansion. Not like the patch cycle or anything like that, but like just the last quest of the base. So, base 5.0. And honestly, I love the Crypt Lurkers gear. The Crypt Lurkers gear is very FromSoft coded, I want to say. Like, it's got that kind of dark edginess to it. It looks like dungeon crawler stuff. It looks like you'd be at home dying to Merlib. Not Merlib. To monstrosities over and over again. Does it look like Bloodborne? Yeah, you get it. I need to take care of, and then that's it for chores for the day. I really with Bloodborne, like the cosmic horror shit. That's like, I'm not even talking about like the actual horrorness of it, but like there are so many parallels between how it's designed and the influence and inspiration of something like in Innistrad that I can't help but love it. I can't help but be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna make my Cathar little Lorbo. We're gonna play through Bloodborne. And it's great. We're gonna do a little bit of role playing there. And you compare it to something like in Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a lot more of that sword and sorcery knight aesthetic. Like, ignore the fact that you can push for his face. Like with the Elden Ring, it's not Knights and Sorcery. Ignore the fact that, you know, actually no, don't ignore it. Actually, I forgot what I was going to lead off with that. Oh right, yeah, no, I was going to say something about like, you know, not even just like ignoring the, you know, Dark Souls, Guts, giant great sword thing that's so prevalent in these FromSoft games that a lot of people really like to latch on to. What was I doing? I was heading the journey. Like, even if you take that out, it's still like a huge part of the game. You're going through, you get to fight so many dragons. You get to do mounted combat. You get to do just things and stuff. Like, the difference between soldiers and knights, at least as far as like the Cathars are concerned, to me is very much a this is Elden Ring, and this is Bloodborne. And you can tell the difference at a glance because of the aesthetics and the setup and the enemy, stuff like that. Not to, you know. So funny, what is and doesn't make the cut? Garland? Murderous Rider? No. So in this heavy equipment decks, what do we have? Ghostly Dancers! Because the deck has 11 enchantments, mostly auras to further support a Tiana. That feels like a weird dilute. Like, I guess I can't really like express an opinion too nuanced just hearing about it from secondhand, but that feels like an odd dilution. I think one of the cooler ideas I've heard for a Sir Gwen list, and have also had myself, to try and build it as like a living weapons type deck. Sir Gwen is just such an odd card to try and build, right? I've been trying to build a Sir Gwen list in Brawl on and off for a couple of years now. And she has so many things going for her and so many things going against her. It's so weird. So, like, start with, she is a 6 mana card. She is ostensibly a 6 mana card, and what's going on over here? You've come to the right place, Kupo. We are the cleaning team Magic sent to scrape the structures. Yet I suppose you are wondering why our Wyvern friend is here. We were given metal rasps from the Temple Knight Sappers, but they wore down too quickly. It was by chance that we found something else to use. Force dragon scales, which have proven to be surprisingly resilient. Fortunately, this molten Wyvern has happily volunteered to help. However, we are having trouble removing the scales from the mold as our paws are less suited than your fingers to the task. Can you do it for us? The scales that you want, I have more than enough to give. My skin itches terribly so. Bits of dead skin drift through the air as you pluck handfuls of scale flakes from the mold on the Wyvern's back. Breathe a sigh of relief. Let's see what you got, Kupo. Great work, Kupo. They'll snap off far easily if they are brittle, but these ones will do nicely. That being said, we have one more favor to ask of you. As a talented artisan, could you show us how to affix these scales to flat metal shafts to make the rasps? My friend over there will be the one to collect them. Thanks again for the help, Kupo. Your grain was built as a living equipment list for the reasons I listed. Wanted to have 2 equipped creatures you've ramped once and cast on turn 5, which is asking a lot of the cards you play. I believe it. Like, I believe it. So, like, kind of continuing with that thought. So, Sir Gwyn is 6 mana, right? That's already asking a lot of a card, especially when you think about the fact that she was printed in the same recon cycle as something like the Dragon King, Chancellor, the storyteller guy who loves spamming creatures ad nauseam. Not the short end. You're already playing with a 6-cost command. So, it's going to be late game. And I'm going to be speaking about this from the perspective as someone who tried to play this as a one-on-one commander. I.e., the format that Sir Gwyn was actually originally designed for. Because remember, these were Brawl reconstructed decks. Back when Brawl was supposed to be a way to play commander in paper as a one-on-one format. And also, like, it was basically WotC's attempt to make a commander-like format that they could actually regulate and make more suited to their purposes, but you know, that's neither here nor there. So she's 6 mana. That's already a lot. A 6-drop needs to be winning you the game in Brawl. I guess any single format, but like again, we're use Brawl as our point of reference here. So already she's not doing that. She is not immediately winning the game. She is a 5/5 vigilance and menace. She gives all of your knights equipped 0, which kind of implies that what you want to be doing is playing a lot of knights, because then she will make it so that way you can equip all of them, not just her. Especially since her third ability is whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you lose a life and draw a card. So it's really easy to imagine the scenario where this is amazing, right? The dream scenario is that you have knights, you equip them up, and then you attack with like 3 or 4 knights and you just like completely reload your hand. Sounds great. Except, 1, you are now playing an A plus B deck. You are playing a deck that needs to have piece A, your commander, and piece B, equipment. So, okay, sure, easy enough. You you play the equipment, and then you can equip them to her, and then that's fine and all. Except, at least in Brawl, the knight support is severely lacking compared to paper. So if you're trying to build it as a knight's deck, like a deck that's using knights to take full advantage of her effect, then you're not really playing with like good cards. Hero, new ocean fishing minion? Hot damn. Hot damn, actually. I don't know what ammo it is, but it's adorable. I mean, like, I could just check the achievements here, right? I'm gonna finish that thought real quick. So, like, you're already behind the 8 ball a little bit. Yes, Sir Gwyn likes knights. Doesn't really care about them though. She just wants you to hold weapons. Exactly that. Exactly. Like, she herself is a knight, and that's enough to get use out of the zero equip cost for knight. Like, you can just get around all sorts of equipment. It doesn't even matter whether it's like expensive to equip or cheap to equip. You just get to equip stuff onto her, and circumventing any amount of mana for the card that expensive is getting your money's worth. But then also you need to have those creatures holding equipment, and unless you are willing to accept that Sir Gwen is going to draw you one card a turn if she is the only card equipped, then you need to actively have cards that are equipped. And that's kind of where the living weapon idea comes in. It's the idea that, well, these cards are going to come into play. They're going to automatically snap themselves onto a token or something like that. And then you can just have those on the board, and then you get to play Sir Gwen, and then you get to do the thing where you draw a bunch of cards. And that is a lot harder to do in one-on-one than it is in multiplayer. In multiplayer, you can definitely set up an engine. In one-on-one, those tokens are going to get fucking murdered. And then you're going to have equipment that's sitting around until Sir Gwen. This isn't anything important. This is just a gift offering of fish to our Wyvern buddy here, helping us out. So, you know, nice gesture, but not like news. Most of the night support comes from Eldraine as it is. Yep, that and like that and Dominaria too, right? It's like that, Dominaria, and maybe a little bit from Alara. So it's like you're playing a 6-drop that the opponent can just keep an eye out for. You might have a dead board, but with a bunch of equipment hanging around. And like, you know, aesthetically, I love that. I love the image of like this of a knight walking out onto a battlefield and just like going full unlimited blade works with all the dead weapons around, and then using them for herself, and then turning into like a super Voltron commander. It's kind of a sweet deal. But it's just so hard. So hard, and you have to find a way to like keep up gas and resources before then, because if they kill her, Sir Gwen, before you get any sort of protection up, that's it. That's it. Game over, baby. Game over. It is a difficult deck to make work in a competitive environment. It is so frustrating sometimes, because I adore Sir Gwen. I really do. I adore Sir Gwen, and the fact that it is such an uphill battle to make her work, when like you could just be playing quote good cards and a good deck and like, you know, get similar results. It can get a wee bit frustrating at times. So Gwen's plan B is fun. Not your goal, but hey, drop her back on the board with haste and some other things go boom. Yeah. See, here's the thing though, right? Here's the thing though. Like, I am not the type of I have seen people who, you know, they could just like mess around and get crushed and they can have fun. I am not one of those people, particularly in a single player format, but even in Commander too, right? Like, if I'm playing Commander and I have a deck idea that I think is cool and I need to test it out, and then I spend like 6 turns not doing anything because my deck wasn't because my deck isn't tuned properly yet, that is also incredibly frustrating. Probably more so because it takes even more time to like, you know, be stuck in a game and not be able to just like quit out, fix what's wrong with the deck, and then go back in. Although that's also kind of its own problem, because then it's very easy to just like try and jam games, and then you start go into a little bit of a crisis spiral. Not like a crisis spiral, but you start like tilting off. Get so frustrated. Get so frustrated because it's like, what am I doing wrong? And you forget that you were actually playing a deck that requires so much fine handling. Like, the bottom of the deck is so low that you need to play out of your mind in order to bring it up to the point where it can be competitive with other titles, you know? I meant that last build, you were trying to make the deck bracket 3 or something with Smothering Tithe. Wasn't gelling. There's so much deck testing these days against the computer and Gauntlet of 3 other decks. Computer's not good, but does toss out a lot of removal at times. Yeah, I think Rubble Lily put out a really good video that I liked quite a bit about how to properly goldfish with a deck in order to try and like make sure it's doing the thing. Like there's always finer tuning that you can only really get from playing like the games themselves. But I really like the idea of just playing goldfishing a quick 6 turns to see how quickly and how effectively the deck can do its thing. Oh, that's right. We were going to take a quick look at the let's see, crafting and gathering. We want Fisher. Want filter achievements with mid. Let's see. I already knew about the much coveted Mora. For at least 10,000 points during a single ocean fishing voyage on the Ruby route. That's going to be the Masaras. Already got seagulls. Already got dolphins. I don't see anything else on here. Are you sure there was a? Are we sure there was a new ocean fishing minion, Sam? I think I recognize both of these already. The whale shark? Was it a minion or was it a mount? Because I know that there's a big shark here. Don't need a lot of strategy when you resolve breach with the multiverse. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can always just like play huge haymakers that help end the game too, and have like nothing to actually do with your deck, but like they do win. So like if you really care that much about winning, you can always just go for raw power like that. That's true. That's true. By the way, folks, we are just about at the end of stream. So, 3, 2, 1. We have a lead the raid redeem that you can go ahead and hit up. Maybe you know someone who is just cool to hang out with. Maybe they're trans, maybe they're plural, maybe they're poly, maybe they're like me, maybe they're bi, maybe they're like, you know, living 35 and great. Maybe maybe they're a smaller streamer, they need a little bit of affection. Maybe they're a big streamer, you just want to introduce some folks to them. Either way, feel free to hit that redeem. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about any other plans that we have currently. I don't think we have any other current plans. We do have Final Fantasy VIII on Friday with Fran. We are at a point right now where I could ignore what we have to do immediately, and instead I could see about farming Squall's ultimate weapon. I saw a guide on how to do that. It's going to be a little tedious, but I think I could do it in the span of a single stream if I really like knuckle down and got into it. It would probably involve a lot of like card farming, but then I would also get to level up the GFs while I do that. So that's theoretically pretty good. Lucky could have had one, but it's the usual suspects on your list. That's true. That's true. All right. If you're watching this on the YouTube side, thank you so much for hanging out. Please leave a like, drop a subscribe, maybe share the stream with someone else. We're gonna go ahead and end the YouTube stream here, below. And then over on the Twitch side, we're gonna go ahead and take a look here. Who